Can you name some online class reductionists that are prominent? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Kyle Kulinski, Sager's not a leftist, so fuck him. Jimmy Dore is an easy one. Kyle Kulinski flirts with that language pretty often, I would argue. Why did chat just freak out? Peter Coffin does that. Angie Speaks does that. Ashley Coffin does that to an extent. Who's the name of that one? Glenn Greenberg? Glenn Greenberg, right? Glenn, I'm pretty sure Glenn does this to a pretty significant extent. He's Greenwald. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. The Chapo Trap House boys do this to an extent. Dude, I need to like watch it again, but I'm pretty sure in the Chapo episodes they've been getting a lot more class reductionist or like I don't know, black pilled.
I'm just thinking about my future streams and online engagement, and I cannot imagine being older, larger, and respected, and still cried on Twitter. Maybe this is because I am older than the dirt I sleep in. So you might not see me engaging as much in just direct online drama all the time, although someone's going to call me out for being a huge hypocrite. I engage in a lot of drama online. I usually try to direct it at the right to far right, sometimes the center, sometimes the lib. You know, I will go after the lib and the center, but I rarely go on the attack against the left unless they happen to be of the tanky persuasion. And by tanky, I usually mean online white Maoist or Stalinist apologists. Okay, those are what I mean by the tankies. All right. If you happen to see someone, if you happen to be someone who believes in, say, the emancipation or the Black liberation movement at the hands of the material conditions provided to them by the communist regimes, then yes, I do not call you a tanky. I do not wrap you up in that same umbrella. I'm talking about mostly online white. I'm talking your Caleb Mopins, your Jason Ruhu, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but you know, Bowser on the YouTubes. Those people, all right, those individuals, they're the tankies. Those are. Oh, I love Boots Riley. Boots Riley's based the shit when he's online. He gets taken offline quite a bit. Anyways, I agree with his take wholeheartedly. I think this is great. Hopefully this makes sense and isn't too rambly or petty. I just feel a bit disappointed and disillusioned by the sphere. So I see this and I'm like, oh shit, something's going down. It's on his phone streams, by the way, which are just perverse. Why are you doing it like this, Vaush? Like, I don't get it. Why are you filming your phone streams like this? Like, you can put the phone on a cupboard, or you could put it on like a bookshelf, or a couch, or your cat. You have a delightful cat, you know. You don't need to do this. It's not like, hey, I get it. You want to read your chat. There's that aspect. You could also have another device. I don't know, but I wouldn't be doing this, you know. I wouldn't be like, oh, how's it going, comrades? We have another super chat. I don't know. Yeah, I can see your pores, dog. Absolutely. Tripod that shit. Tripod it. I know you have a sex swing, all right? I know. So just put it on there. Just affix it, and then maybe we could get that cool kind of motion like this while you're doing the streams. So that would be nice. That would probably be better. That would be a better experience than the one we're currently engaging in. That would be better. All right. That's not what Vaush built his brand on. Boring. I don't know him. Never spoken to him, and yet he seems to have an odd fixation. This isn't the first sly shade. So if you've gotten something to say, just say it. Well, I'll say this. That's not sly or shade. I mean, it's not vague posting. Vague posting would just be like straight up being like, there's someone on the left who I don't quite enjoy. I'm not quite fond of her. I'm not going to say who she is. I'm just going to say, let's say, maybe A speaks. No. That's a bit too. I can't say the quiet part loud. Let's just say Angie S. Yes, Angie S. I'm not a fan of that Angie. Yes, but you'll never know. When we speak about class reductionists, I gave a very thorough definition of this yesterday, and if we're all going to be on the exact same page, I ideally hope that we're thinking about the same thing here, right? If your material analysis, if you've read some Marx, and hopefully everyone here has, because it's good. Marx is good. Marx is great. Marx and Engels, please go read Das Kapital. If all 3 volumes are a little bit, Communist Manifesto, very short. It's intentionally short. It's made for, of course, the proletariat to be able to distribute it easily and pass it through. It's pretty damn based. if you have time, read Critique of the Gothic Program. Critique of the Gothic Program is even better because that actually has some real world implementation. And this may surprise some people to learn, but you'll learn some things in the Critique of the Gothic Program, specifically as to how do we transition from a capitalist society to a socialist one, including incentivization. And I know a lot of people are like, wait, no, I thought we were going to get rid of currency. Wasn't that the whole idea? Marx was aware. He lived in a society. That's one of the reasons I think he was a very effective writer as well as communicator. He lived in a society. He understood that. And he also understood that we would have to have some kind of an incentivization program in order to do this. Here's a little bit of a thing, though. The idea of historical materialism, all right? Looking at history through the lens of materials, right? Why do we go to war? Why do we battle? Why do we conquest? Why do we enslave? Why do we build empires? Why do we do any of this? Because there's a material condition behind it, right? There's I want to grow my empire because I want more wealth and more hookers and blow. That idea, that way of looking at the world through that lens, that was revolutionary, and it is something that we should still use today. It is very, very important, and if you are a Marxist, you are probably looking at history through that lens. There is a benefit to this, all right? There's a benefit to looking at the world through that lens because, yes, it is the main driving force behind most of society's decisions. Capitalism, right? I don't have to preach the converted here. Do not run with it all the way, though. Do not be an absolutist for any ideology, because, of course, it does not explain everything. I've said this before. Racism exists independent of capitalism. Capitalism reinforces it. Capitalism upholds these power structures that we have. If you want to be at the top of the totem pole right now, white supremacy, yes, the white race, in large part due to their enslavement of an entire people, built up vast amounts of wealth, which of course wealth begets wealth, and they've continued that pattern, right? There's no question about that. But you do not need to be an absolutist about this. That's where we get into the realm of the class reductionist. If there is one thing I would say that unites all these people, they are all busters, in my opinion, as far as I know, right? Kulinski, Jor, Coffin, Angie. Oh wow, did I crack the code? Did I crack Vaush's code? Am I the only one to have pointed this out? Is that what unites all his foes, the people that he's called out? Have I done it? Did I do the thing? I want credit for this. I want credit, everybody. I did it. Can you go forth and propagate it? Can you? Yeah, 500 IQ. I want 9,000 IQ, son.
It's over 9,000!
I do liberal left keep smearing and making unsubstantiated claims. So this is the same problem on both sides. If you're going to reduce everyone to just being class reductionists, if we're going to reduce everyone who doesn't agree with you to being libs, these words will have no meaning. We will never be able to use them in the proper parlance for what we want to express and say to each other. Why do they work so hard to demonize us? It's because they need a new cast of villains for their culture war. Dunking on the right is out of vogue. It is not for me. I love dunking on the right. And everyone should be doing it, by the way. Let's stop dunking on the left, okay? Let's stop this. Let's dunk on the right. The right fucking sucks. The right are in control. The right are ruining the world faster than any other group right now. Jair Bolsonaro, Donald Trump, yeah, they're in control. Shall I say this? Xi Jinping, yes, I consider the Chinese government, the communist government, to be a right-wing authoritarian government. Because they're doing the fascisms, all right? They've silenced dissidents, all right? There is no freedom of expression. They're rounding people up in camps and putting them into concentration camps. Like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty fucking right-wing government to me, okay? Let's go out and say it. Boris Johnson, absolutely. I get it. I understand the spectacle. And I think there's a very valid critique to be made about the idea that we are just, producing the consumption for the betterment of these social media companies. We are. I'm doing it right now in real time. This is so meta. But I'm self-aware, which makes me smarter than the rest. That's why I have 9,000 IQ. You've already discovered this, everybody. I have 9,000 IQ because I'm aware of what I say and do. A country mile of class reductionism, a term that accurately applies to maybe 5 people on Reddit. Not true. Anyone who thinks to think harder about this topic should really read. What does read mean when you... Oh, should read. Oh, cute. I like it. There is if you make it, Trekkie. That's the problem. One of the problems being is that there's people who say that ultimately, if we simply reduce and remove class, if there is no more class, so say someone like Will Smith, for example. Will Smith is rich as fuck. Turns out Will Smith still is a black man living in America. There are superstar black athletes who still get pulled over indiscriminately from the cops. It doesn't matter that they're driving Ferraris. It doesn't matter that they're wearing suits. It doesn't matter that they're super, super rich. Racism still exists. Like, it's still a problem. That's why you need intersectional politics as well. Class reductionism is the supposed view that inequities apparently attributable to race, gender, and other categories or group identification are either secondary in importance or reducible to generic economic inequality. It thus follows, according to those who hurl the charge, that specifically anti-racist, feminist, or LGBTQ concerns, for example, should be dissolved within the demands for economic redistribution. I know of no one who embraces that position. Like other broad-brush charges, the self-styled liberal pragmatist levy against wish list reductionist canard is a bid to shut down debate. Once you submit it, you may safely dismiss your opponent as wild-eyed fermenters of discord without addressing the substance or the disagreements with you on policy proposals. Although there is no doubt random dogmatic class reductionists out there, the simple fact that there is no one serious tendency on the left contends that racial or gender injustices of those affecting LGBTQ people, immigrants, or other racial groups such as do not exist are inconsequential or otherwise should be downplayed or ignored. So I'm going to say very definitively, you are doing exactly what you're accusing the other side of doing in this. You are trying to shut down this debate. Although there is no doubt that random dogmatic class reductionists are out there, the simple fact is they have no serious tendency on the left. So there's a lot of nuance to this, all right? There's quite a bit of nuance to this. Because at the end of the day, one of the big discussions that I've been seeing over the left right now happens to pertain to, is it okay to fire a TERF for what they do outside of the workplace? That's a big talking point. And this goes right to the heart of this issue. And again, we talked about this 2 days ago. It's very complicated. It's not something you can easily just be like, yes, no. But why? Right? You have to actually look at this from a case-specific standpoint. Is what they're doing directly endangering the other people that they work with? Is their freedom of speech silencing the freedom of speech of other people? Right? It has to be on a case-by-case basis. Is what they're doing every day when they go offline, even if it's not directly targeting someone that they work with, that doesn't have to go that far, but are they being so vilifying, so horrifying that they're actively attributing towards the stigmatization that surrounds the trans community? Like, the trans community has abnormally high rates of suicide, abnormally high. For any single demographic. And study after study after study shows it's because of the stigmatization that they face in everyday society. So when you've got someone online, when you've got someone like Joe Rogan, when you've got someone who's coming out there and just being like, yeah, well, we shouldn't allow kids to have any kind of gender therapy or have any kind of medication for that, because at the end of the day, kids can't make those kind of decisions for themselves, and yeah, it's child abuse. Y'all are abusing children. Shit like that, without them even knowing, is directly contributing towards this toxic atmosphere. If you are actively doing it, if you're actively misgendering people, if you're actively going online and you're actively saying like, oh, by the way, they're not human, they're subhuman, they're equatable with pedophiles, all these kind of horrible, vile shit. If you have a member of the trans community who works with you on an everyday basis, they're not going to feel safe coming into the workplace if that other person is working there. If they find another person online and they're doing this completely within, nothing to do with work, they're going on their Facebook, they're typing in, they're naming themselves B. Shapiro or Ben S., whatever it is, there's the problem. That's a huge problem. You are silencing the speech of someone else you work with. I think, yes, they should be fired. Absolutely. There's no class solidarity there. And, I do not need a material analysis to understand the difference between someone who's actively working to vilify a member of the LGBTQ community. That's pretty simple. But the whole debate itself is complicated. So that's where, if you had someone who believes on the other side of the aisle, you might say that, well, I think you are being a bit of a class reductionist. You think that this can be reduced to class, class unity. But even at its height, this view only gained currency amongst a very small cohort of sectarian dogmatists. And I agree. I think in terms of complete absolutists, people who are like, there is only one way and this is the one true path, they are probably the minority. And we shouldn't have employers. We shouldn't have bosses, all right? We should have, you can have supervisors, but we should have fucking worker cooperatives. You shouldn't have the ability to just fire your employees because you don't like the color of their skin or the cut of their jib. All that kind of stuff. We don't need bosses. You can have supervisors. And by the way, the most powerful worker cooperatives in the world, Mondragon, which is an actual umbrella cooperative, they have CEOs, but they don't make more than 5 to 8 times in any one of their worker co-ops what the employees make. And that to me is completely fine. I'm totally fine with that. If somebody wants to take the extra mile, if they want to work extra hard to be able to supervise an enormous set of people, that's great. We just don't need 325 times to 1, which is the current system that we have in America, all right? You can go as far as 321. Like, how much does Jeff Bezos make compared to his employees? Because I do not think he's making 300,000 times more corporate decisions than his employees are making. He's not working 300,000 times. I'm just throwing numbers. I have no idea how much more he makes, but things like that, right? Downward economic redistribution for Medicare for all to $15 minimum wage can't coherently coherently be said to thwart the interests of women, racial minorities, or other identity groups. See, this is my problem. This is the problem right here. Is you're only looking at this from one direction. And I completely agree. The idea of a $15 minimum wage hike, that helps people who are the most disenfranchised. And I am for increasing the minimum wage. Fuck $15. Let's increase it even more. Australia has $25, I believe. Okay? Or maybe it's $20. I forget what the Australian currency is. Or even if it's a real country. It's probably made up. Something like that. But anyways, I'm totally fine for this. Oh, night, political puppy. This is why they're socialists to begin with. Yes, exactly. I am for this. And at the same time, you are ignoring the idea of someone getting fired again for their speech outside of the workplace, endangering a member of the trans community. That's the part. That's it. You know, racial equality could only be achieved through a combination of anti-discrimination policies and social democratic economic policies. Hard agree. No one is fighting this point. This is you see what we're doing here, everyone. We're talking past each other. We're talking past each other, and there's multiple things going on, and that's why this entire debate is becoming what it is, and we're calling each other names. Got one side screaming liberal, we got the other side screaming class reductionist, and the spectacle is the winner. I think the winner in the end of all this is Twitter, and right now me, because it's just providing content fodder for all of us.
To our monarch, Thomas Bone, you are the light that guides our path. To our lords, I'm Rab, Stephen, Nine Tails Cosmic Fox, and Hans Josephine. We bow meekly for your pleasure. To our knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byth, Alexander Thaler, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Clement Schutzkopf, Skybear Games, Moss Beast, Political Puppy, Alan R., Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, that's solid poon then, we salute you. And to all our merchants and farmers, you have our undying loyalty and love.